Continue.
Forbes covered it now too.
Oh, and the headline is, Sam Seder humiliates Steven Crowder after a surprise debate appearance. The internet laughs.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's a lie. You need to research and say, did Steven ever accept?
They said you were
Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you. Hey, whoa.
Dropped
Sam,
out and you literally
Sam, sweetheart. Sam, fake stand-up comic who we can't find any footage about online. Let me
not
finish.
A stand-up comic.
Okay, pause it for a second.
But we don't know who you are.
We don't know who you are, but we have been scouring the internet for your stand-up.
Doing Oppo.
Which doesn't exist.
Now here's the deal. I did stand-up comedy in the early 90s. I think probably the last performance I ever did as a stand-up was, well, maybe I did one at the DNC in 2004. I was never a particularly good stand-up. I ended up going in, I did 10 pilots, network pilots. I wrote a bunch of, probably about a dozen pilots for ABC, NBC, CBS, HBO. I executive produced a couple of shows that made it to air, some that just got into production. I was an actor, and I perceived myself as a comedian, not necessarily a stand-up comic. And Air America pushed me as a comedian. At the time, I had just directed I'm with Busey, and then had done a show called Pilot Season that was a extension of a movie I made, Who's the Caboose. People can go check that out. It's available on some streaming platforms. I don't know, maybe iTunes. Not everybody's taste, but they could take that movie and mock it and say it's not funny. What they would find is that like all my friends are actually who are in the movie are far more successful comedians than Steven Crowder ever was.
That's what's funny is Crowder wanted to be like the right-wing comedy guy, and he's turned into a pundit because he's also not that funny and couldn't cut it at Fox News. But your comedy career, which is basically like your side hustle, is basically more developed than his ever was.
I mean,
100%. You're not saying Pigpen or whatever the hell he was calling you isn't like tearing down the house.
I don't know if he was calling me Pigpen or Ethan Pigpen. It was sort of hard to tell. But
either way, it's in fucking scrutable.
They scoured the internet looking for a stand-up, and then he says like, you don't do live shows. Like, first off, we've done a couple of live shows. I do have 2 children. It's not that easy to get together. We had one scheduled, obviously during COVID. We didn't do any live shows, but we had a couple that we were going to do. I think we're planning to do one in Boston in the fall.
Does Steven do live events? I don't remember this.
But I don't even understand. Let's say I never did a live show, although I will tell you this. In the first 10 years of my career, I did multiple live shows a night. Cross Comedy, David Cross, was in a comedy group with him in Boston. I was in a comedy group with John Benjamin, and I had a comedy group called the Comedy Lab in Boston for years.
Not successful at all those two.
Then when we came down to New York, there's a show that ultimately became Eating It that at one point I programmed for the Toyota Comedy Festival. Louis C.K. and Sarah Silverman and Mark Maron and Bob Odenkirk and Michael Ian Black and Showalter and Benjamin and Michael Portnoy, the guy who did Soy Bomb, and Todd Barry. And I would do stand-up, or not really stand-up, but like an alternative comedy through the 90s there. And, I don't, but even if I was still doing that or not doing that, I can't quite make out what the relevance is. He's saying that I'm afraid to do a live show somewhere, but continue.
You need to research and say, did Steven ever accept?
They said you were
Let me explain to you. Hey, whoa.
Dropped
Sam,
out and you literally
Sam, sweetheart. Sam, fake stand-up comic who we can't find any footage about online. Let me finish.
I'm not a stand-up comic.
Oh, you're not? Okay, that makes sense because everything that I've seen is incredibly unfunny and unentertaining, which may explain the audience.
Irony alert, Stephen.
Comedian.
How much have you watched of my stuff, Stephen, that you said that your audience
can I answer your question?
Appreciate our discussing things?
Samuel, can I answer your question?
Yes.
So you have gone on, you've done the same thing with other comments. Everyone has a bigger audience than you because you said, I want to speak with Steven Crowder. You believe that at some point there was some acceptance? When have I ever done a Politicon? Ever?
I
What
don't
about,
know.
as a matter of
I
fact, in the
haven't
last
followed your
decade,
career like
in
you
the
seem to
last
have followed
decade,
mine, Stephen.
in the last decade, I haven't done a single political conference.
How
I
can
hosted
you say-
CPAC for 4 years and stopped because they suck.
How
They
can you
don't
say
pay.
1 second. Pause it for 1 second. Do we have that clip of him apparently going up at South by Southwest in 2017 to interrupt something that Cenk was doing? Let's just play that just for the sake of it. I mean,
While we're looking
look,
for that, the thing where he's like, I only hosted CPAC for 4 years and I stopped doing that because it was trash. Like, you did it for 4 years. Maybe you had something to do with that.
Right.
I would never go there again because the guy who hosted it sucked. But wait a second, that was me last year. And the year before.
It's like Ricky Gervais bashing
And the
Golden
year
Globes.
before. What it sounds like to me, now that I listen back to it, this whole thing, like you don't go out and do live shows. It sounds like to me that he's afraid of doing live shows. Like he's saying, like, I don't go to political conferences anymore because if I go to political conferences, there'll be people there who know about politics and they will approach me and I'm not going to do that.
Well,
I
it's
will
all
only go to
projection.
places. Yeah, totally.
But the whole thing is projection, right? Where he says at the beginning about Ethan, about this guy's afraid to debate me or whatever the case
That's
may
literally
be.
what he's trying to do. He's trying to make this about Ethan being afraid to debate, when the entire story is about him being afraid to debate
For
on like
years,
forums.
you've been afraid to debate Sam, and he's panicking, and people on Twitter were zooming in on his knuckles. Like, I want you guys to pay attention to how he's clenching his hands together.
Play this clip of Crowder at South by Southwest in 2017, I think it is.
Heckling Cenk.
He's heckling Cenk.
What's going on here? I thought we were having a reasonable discussion. That's not the real Cenk. That's bullshit. I'm the real Cenk over here. This is supposed to happen. I had to change over you married.
Okay, this is Stephen
This
Crowder.
guy, this isn't the real Cenk. You think you're a man, it's not happening. It's bullshit. You know, you can come out and sweat the panel.
Okay, so this is
Okay.
this is not a friend of mine.
What he does, okay?
This is what he
He's
does.
doing an impression, and you know that's bullshit. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, right?
He basically
what he does,
makes
right?
money.
Is he makes money
By
he lies, right? Like he's
riding my
he's he rock, oh, he rides my dick. So I do this homophobic stuff too, right? And I go, and then I go, like, you're a homophobe, but really, you know, I guess you do.
Oh, wow.
That was embarrassing in like a multitude of ways.
So that was not
What was
part
he
of Change My
being?
Mind?
That was okay. Let's go back to the original here.
Was he trying to imitate Cenk? That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
there.
the funny part is he's like shifting his voice as Cenk is speaking because he's trying to get it, and he doesn't seem to have any of the affectations. He just had the costume. If
Yeah.
you're gonna take away the costume from that dude, he's gonna be lost.
Yeah, he needs to dress it up.
Your
Decade,
career like
in
you
the
seem to have
last
followed
decade,
mine,
in
Stephen.
the last decade, I haven't done a single political conference.
How
I
can
hosted
you say-
CPAC for 4 years and stopped because they suck.
How can
They
you
don't
say-
pay,
Okay.
and they're full of losers.
What about
and you've
Gavin
been
McInnes's
clamoring
show?
for it, and it's a
Gavin told
lie.
me that you dropped out of doing
How
his
can you
show
say
because
that
This is
I was
just
going
hearsay
to
and
go.
gossip.
But how can
I
he
have
say
I've
never
that
met more of a
follow your
woman.
career when he wants
Well,
to
I
keep
don't even
debating?
think
I don't know.
Ooh.
I mean, look,
As a woman's Stephen, I'll debate you anytime, anywhere.
that's just gossip. I've never met more of a woman. Well, I mean, presumably he's married to a woman who's pregnant. But aside from that, if you thought that Stephen could get out of this situation without dropping a dollop of misogyny down, I am afraid that it was not the case.
Well, then
Now-
I want to ask about the eyes comment.
And yeah, well, he's going to get to the eyes. at the
Yeah,
end.
we'll bring it
But-
back at the
but-
end. Yeah.
I told him that Gavin McInnes wanted me to come on his show. He was offering $5,000 at the time. I was not going to go on a show where Gavin McInnes was the moderator until they said Crowder was going to come on. And then I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it for free.
Well, you said you debate Gavin McInnes, but like if he's the moderator, that makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And then
he's a
they said,
right-winger.
all right, well, what about if we get Crowder to come on and Gavin would moderate that? And I was like, that I would do. I won't take money, but I will do it because I'm not doing this for the money. And then let me be clear of what the point of this is. And we do this specifically for political reasons. I don't care about Steven Crowder as a person. I don't care about YouTube, whatever, subscriber counts or whatnot. We started this show as a radio show. We do it as a YouTube. We have this microphone in front of our faces because at the end of the day, this is the way I like to do it. I came from radio. But you don't do YouTube. You're losing out on potential revenue. You're also losing out on a big chunk of possible audience. I am doing this so that if you are a fan of Steven Crowder's, or you know someone who is a fan of Steven Crowder's, you understand that he cannot stand behind his ideas. He is afraid to have his ideas challenged by someone who is equipped to do the least amount of challenging of that, which is why he'll debate Ethan, even though Ethan has only 2 million subscribers and Crowder has 5 or 6.
And Ethan admits that, this is not his forte. He's
Yeah, this is not what Ethan does.
Yeah.
And he will go and have a change my mind thing with college students. He'll go up to, some guy who is doing street art and decide to debate him and then call the cops on him. He'll do all that, but he will not actually have a civil conversation with somebody who knows the slightest bit of what they're talking about because he's afraid. So it's one thing you can watch Steven Crowder if you're a 14-year-old boy and you really feel like you need that misogyny and homophobia stylings of a comedic, comedic stylings that a 14-year-old boy in 1970, 82 may have felt they needed.
Or is the affect of a comedic styling without any of the actual comedy behind it.
Yeah, but if you're not one of those 14-year-olds, because a lot of those 14-year-olds may grow out of it, but if you're anybody else and you have any questions, at the very least, you owe it to yourself to listen to other people and other perspectives to find out just how full of shit Steven Crowder is. All right, continue.
It's a
Evan told me
lie.
that you dropped out of doing
How
his
can you
show
say
because
that
This
you-
is
I
just
was going
hearsay
to
and
go-
gossip.
But how can
I
he
have
say
I've never
met more of a
your
woman.
career when he wants
Well,
to
I
keep
don't need to
debating?
I don't need to talk
It's
about any
bizarre.
of this.
Then.
All right,
Let's talk
okay.
about the issue.
So,
the
Ethan, do you want to have a
CDC.
conversation, Ethan?
Let's talk
about the
about big
vaccine
tech.
because
Ethan, do you want to have a
Absolutely, I
conversation?
do.
You're going to hide.
You felt
Absolutely,
so
I do.
strongly
Oh,
about
big tech.
So why are you hiding behind San Cedar?
Oh, no,
Cedar?
no,
Have
no,
a
me and Sam are
conversation
aligned. I'm not
with
hiding.
him.
He just
Well, you're just a
he knows the
liar.
issue.
So you're a
Ethan,
liar.
because remember we said- hold on a second, hold on a second.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah.
feels like
It's
you guys are the ones who are
ridiculous.
hiding.
Really?
Ethan
Hiding?
is being
No, this is
completely open
actually
about it.
Who snuck in on you?
who's the guy who
Ethan's
never
being
appears
completely
on
open
stage,
about it.
never does a live show,
But it's a
never
comic.
even sheds, never even allows a shadow of comedy to be perceived on his program. It's just hiding.
Right.
Everything we do is out in the open. H3.
Pause it,
H3.
pause it,
Steven, you're-
pause it. I just make it clear that the relationship between hiding from a debate and allowing a shadow of comedy appear on his show, there is no relationship there. That does not exist. It is Steven flailing around looking for anything he can grab onto because he thinks that I'm also 14 years old. He thinks that I have the mentality that he does, which is like, look at your shoes,
He's
man.
not as big as mine.
Yeah, like, oh, your dad has a bad car. Or I've been to your house and it's ugly. Like, oh, yellow house. Oh, that's a yellow house. A girl. Like, he's flailing around and he doesn't know what to say. So he's like, you've never been on stage in Oklahoma.
You failed stand-up that we can't find.
Right. No, so you're not a stand-up. Well, that explains it.
It doesn't land a single blow this entire time. Him
No.
and his buddy.
No, and there's plenty of blows to be landed, folks. Believe me. But
Particularly if you have some awareness that it might be coming. Maybe just write some ahead. You have a
no
whole staff
kidding.
there.
Like, hey, guy, like, yeah, literally, he's got like 8 people on staff that are on camera.
But as we're saying, like, he was so terrified of this happening that he didn't allow it to enter into his brain in a more concrete way.
No.
Just he got to the fear
Fight or
point.
flight.
Yeah, right.
Fight or flight the entire time. All right, continue. Sorry.
Also, Epic Mealtime is covering it too.
Oh my god.
This program is just hiding.
Right.
Everything we do is out in the open. H3.
Steven, you're wearing a
Yeah, we
holster.
agreed. So what? Hold on a second. Yeah? So,
Yeah?
I want to normalize responsible gun ownership. Is that your debate? No wonder you had to bring in a hack for you.
Well, no, you're talking about
Pause it. That is the only moment where Crowder is confident in this entire situation, where it can be brought back to one of his macros. I've heard him say that 100 times. In fact, I was over the weekend looking for a sash that would hold a samurai sword so I could normalize wearing a samurai sword on podcasts.
Yes.
But he gets really indignant there because he's like, oh, wait a second.
Oh yeah?
I am now in my comfort zone of justifying why I'm wearing a holster. And the idea that normalizes it. Well, here's a question.
No.
Why doesn't
Makes
his
it lame.
staff wear holsters too? He's the only one on the show of 8 people who are on camera, or 5.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that because we haven't been following his show as closely as he's been
we
following ours.
We can see though. They've already done camera shots. None of his staff wear those same holsters that would normalize it. He's lying to you. He's wearing it because he thinks it makes him look cool.
Yeah. Also, I come from gun owners, and it's not going to have the effect of normalizing that. It's going to make any gun owner cringe at the idea that this lame-o is wearing holsters performatively on a YouTube show.
Yes.
And getting absolutely clowned while doing it.
Exactly. Normalize morons is what that is. Go ahead.
comedy.
That's
I mean,
a great strategy.
that's
Right
not
it
very
for you.
funny.
You have a holster, bro.
Also, your
You have a
sponsor
holster.
Spartans.
He takes advantage of mentally ill women for a
main
show.
sponsor is about gay boy
All right,
love.
okay.
All of it.
All right, Sam. You got it. You got it. I hope you have
No,
a.
come
I
on.
hope
Hey,
you have a
Steven,
wonderful
if-
highlight reel.
Hold on. Let me just make one point.
Hope you enjoy Politicon.
Hold on,
Ethan.
let
We'll
me make
release the
one
private
point,
messages.
Steven.
Take it easy.
Steven,
All right,
don't
thanks,
bail.
guys.
don't
I
wanna
appreciate
have
it.
Don't bail, you coward.
Hey, Sam, one thing before I go. One thing before I
If
go.
it's
Can you
about
take off your
issues,
glasses?
Steven,
Hold
One
on.
thing before I go.
I
Can you
just
take
wanna
off your
see-
glasses?
we just wanna see if
I
there's
just want to
buttons.
see if you take them off. If you have the Velveteen Rabbit buttons. That's the only thing I'm curious
What
about. It's the only interesting part about it.
Steven,
Or if there's a soul.
Let's
Just
debate.
take off the glasses.
Let's debate,
Don't
Steven.
hide behind the
Don't
glasses.
be a
Sam.
coward.
Don't say
I
let's
will-
debate, Ethan. You've
I
lost
will-
the
Coward.
All right.
Debate
This
the
is sad.
issues. What
This
does
is
it matter who
frustrating.
you debate,
Shut up.
coward?
All right, good. You guys are
Wow.
good. Thank you.
Coward.
Won't even take off the glasses.
I was right.
All right, yeah,
We
you
knew
can
you
give
run
the X.
away.
This
You
is-
run away twice.
Yeah, so he leaves there, but let's talk about the Velveteen Rabbit eyes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to watch the rest. I mean, people can see the rest of that clip.
Oh, come on, but when he leaves, your reaction's pretty good.
All right, maybe we'll go a little bit further, but let's do the Okay, I've just looked up Velveteen Rabbit buttons.
He's trying to say you have beady dark eyes, and
I'm looking at the
it's
Velveteen Rabbit buttons, and they don't look like that at all.
I don't. It does. Right, but the point is like, I mean, to have like dark beady eyes. That's probably some anti-Semitic thing. That's
No,
just my
I don't
guess.
think that's what it is. I think it's some type of thing that he's trying to say, like maybe it's girly or something. Like I'm looking at Velveteen Rabbit buttons.
Like you look cuddly or something, but I don't understand. I honestly, I'm so perplexed.
It's some obviously inside joke that they have at the studio.
Right.
That is some type of coping mechanism for them.
Right. Well,
That Steven can deal with his fear
Yes.
of me, and he thinks of cuddly rabbits
Damn.
while he's like he's having heart palpitations that Sam may be showing up on my Zoom stream. But
Yeah,
here,
this is about self-care. This is not about trying to get owned, and this is just them trying to do self-care as the lion wanders into the habitat.
exactly.
I
But
mean,
here we go.
I'm not even saying it is that. That's just like my only guess because the Velveteen Rabbit eyes. It's a story of a stuffed rabbit's desire to become real through the love of his owner.
Somebody else is saying you're
That's kind of-
a soulless, beady-eyed Jew, but in a way that can't get the algorithm flagged.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that possibility. too.
I don't know if that's the case, but if that is the case, then I don't give a shit what he says.
Yeah, disgrace yourself,
But-
pigs.
Exactly. But this, Stephen, is for you. Now, I said I would do it if you would actually engage in a conversation. You won't do it. But if you're looking at this camera now, Stephen, I want you to look into these eyes, because these are the eyes that humiliated you in front of millions of people. Incidentally, I'm not hiding behind the glasses.
No, take them off fully.
They're prescription.
Take them
I
off
have a very
slowly
bad-
so we can cherish the moment.
And somebody better put frickin' rays that come out of my eyes in post on this. Somebody better do that.
Holy shit.
Steven?
He is the Velveteen Rabbit.
Look into your future, Steven. This is where it all starts to come apart for you. All right, let's just play the end of this after we got off, because I got to tell you, folks, I honestly would have preferred to actually engage in a debate with him. And frankly, I got to be honest too about this. He did the dumbest thing he could have done.
Yep.
This is what I was so amazed at the end of this, and you'll see my reaction. He did the dumbest thing he could have done. The smartest thing he could have done would be to go kill the Zoom right away and just go like, what happened? What happened to our Zoom? We're having technical problems, guys. Sorry. As soon as he sees me, pretend like he didn't see me, kill the Zoom, and that's it. And then not bring it up, not respond to, and just say like, I don't have time to debate you right now. I'm sorry. We got to fix our Zoom thing. That would have been the smartest thing to do. The second smartest thing to do, for him to do, would have been to actually engage with me.
Right.
All right, Sam. Ethan's too afraid to do this. Let's talk about what Ethan said with this, and let's talk about big tech. And I am quite convinced that he would have done fine. I would have felt like I won. His folks would have felt like they won. I like to think that I would have been able to convince a small amount of people.
It would have gave his video editor some more material to work with.
Exactly. But the dumbest thing that he could have done was to hang on there, get his producer to come in, just keep like talking, like chattering, like honestly, like as if like a bunch of chimpanzees, like we're under attack, and look around, admit that he was monitoring the show because he was so afraid at the idea that this would happen, which he never prepared for. The guy is a chump. Talk about the emperor having no clothes. This is the moment.
Having no holster.
No, exactly. This is like somebody taking out his gun and going, dude, this is plastic.
Yeah.
This is not a real gun. It's fake.
Yeah, that's worse.
Now, he's going to go and show, yeah, this is my real gun. But that's not what we're talking about. Steven Crowder is a fake. And he exposed himself as one in this exchange.
We have the dessert, though. The hang up.
This is the hang up.
Won't even take off the glasses.
I was right.
All right, yeah, you can
Bye-bye.
run
yes,
away.
this
You
is-
run away twice. Cold feet again.
Come on, Steven.
Wow. Wow. Dude, I can't believe he admit to following.
He admitted that he followed the show last week.
We got him.
Admitted that he watched the show last
We
week.
got
went
him.
early.
Dude, we played him so hard because he literally was following. He saw that you went live, dude. We fucking got him.
Oh my God, we fucking nailed him.
Holy shit.
All right. Go watch Ethan's show for the rest of that. We talked for another, 15, 20 minutes after that. We were both like,
I've never seen you so happy in my entire life.
it was the dumbest way that he could have done it.
It was amazing.
Unbelievable. All right, let's go to the IMs.
Well, for tomorrow, we'll cover this, but Tim Pool is very, very mad, and he's relitigating how you lied about him and that whole exchange about the not wanting to travel during
He's
the
on there talking
pandemic.
about this, yeah.
So
Oh,
he's-
I'll go on, Tim. I'll go to wherever he's living now. Where's he living in? DC? I'll
not
go
sure,
now.
but yeah.
I'm vaxxed. I will go.
yeah, let him know, folks.
I will go.